and Commissioners, I attended school in KwaZulu-Natal at the primary school, a high school there as well. But in terms of my tertiary education, I attended at the University of Durban, Westville. I matriculated in 1988, commenced university in 1989. I completed both a B.Juris and an LLB degree. During the course of 2007, whilst I was at the Directorate Special Operations, colloquially the Scorpions, in the year 2007, I completed part-time at the University of Johannesburg a diploma in criminal justice and forensic auditing. It was just a one-year diploma. I do have short courses that one would have attended, both in terms of management, project management, and those things that relate to your work in terms of being a prosecutor. I also did attend this, well, not as it currently stands, the Justice College prosecutor course in February and March of 1997. This building most certainly didn't look like this back then, but I was then appointed as a prosecutor, Commissioners, on the 1st of June, 1996. I commenced prosecuting at the Alberton Magistrates Court. I was there till April of 1997. I went to the Regional Court in Germiston. And on the 1st of June, 1998, I commenced duties at the office of the then Director of Public Prosecutions in Johannesburg under Attorney General De Vries, and shortly before then it had become the National Prosecuting Authority. I was a state advocate, and on 1 December 1999, I became a senior state advocate at the colloquially called Scorpions in Pretoria. I was there and became a Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in April of 2004, which position I then held up until the 1st of March 2022. However, when the Scorpions disbanded in July of 2009, we were allowed to choose a Director of Public Prosecutions office. I was at the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions here in Pretoria, in Church Square. And I remained in that establishment up until February of 2019. And in February of 2019, I moved to the NPA's head office in Silverton, where I oversaw as the national coordinator the organized crime portfolio up until I became the ID on the 1st of March 2022, which position I hold to date. I'm sure that suffices unless
and before this appointment, throughout you held the substantive position of Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions.
That is correct. I think it's about 16 or 17 years.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Advocate. We can now turn to the actual statement and you take us through it at your pace. Thank you.
So the statement before you, Commissioners, I did confirm the truthfulness of the statement. I am an admitted advocate of the High Court of South Africa, that admission having been done on the 5th of November 1998 at the High Court before a panel of judges in Johannesburg. At the time when this was done, I was a state advocate, and so we had to then have that admission, and which position as advocate I have held since then. I have been in the employ of the National Prosecuting Authority, having reached 30 years of service on the 1st of June 2026. And currently I hold a rank of investigating director at IDAC, the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption.
Is that equivalent to a DPP's position or not?
That is correct, Chair. It is the DPP, and then the NPA also has special directors of public prosecutions. Those three are an equivalent in terms of rank.
Thank you.
I was appointed to the position of the ID by the President on the 1st of March 2022, and as Meme Hlapi indicated, I might summarize, but if I need to make reference to the specific provisions, I'm sure the commissioners will ask.
I suggest that we should be formal here and...
Advocate Mehlapi, that we...
Sello,
yes.
Yes. Yes, please continue.
I just wanted clarity, Advocate Sello. Is the summation fine? I don't want to be seen to be cutting corners if there are portions that might be relevant.
No. I would prefer you do it at your pace and you adopt an approach that you think best communicates the content and the substance of the statement. As you go along, like I indicated, questions of clarity may arise, particularly from the commissioners, and the question would be posed to you and you respond. So it's not my place to dictate to you how you do it. Just make sure that the salient issues that you raise in the statement are at least placed on record, and to the extent that you need to expound on any particular issue, this is your opportunity to do so. Thank you.
But I think with what you've said thus far, I think you can now start at paragraph 4, unless you think otherwise.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes.
Chair, I will then. I depose to this affidavit in response to a notice in terms of Rule 3 of the Rules of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system, arising from the allegations made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner of the South African Police Services on the 6th of July, 2025.
The service appearing there, the singular, is actually correct, Advocate Johnson.
Police services.
No, the service singular is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paragraph 5. The notice requires me to deal with the following issues on which Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi testified. 5.1. That IDAC allegedly and unlawfully operates outside of its mandate in terms of Section 71A of the NPA Act as amended. And 5.2, that IDAC has allegedly pursued a criminal case against Lieutenant General Khumalo and other officials at Crime Intelligence in the furtherance of ongoing political interference in SAPS. 6, I deal with the issues identified above later in this affidavit. Before I do so, there are various issues I need to deal with if my answers to the issues above are to be sensible. Thus, I have structured the affidavit as follows. 6.1. First, I deal with the mandate of IDAC. 6.2. Second, I introduce the charges against Lieutenant General Samuel Dumisani Khumalo, in brackets, Lieutenant General Khumalo, close brackets, and others. 6.3. Third, I deal with the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo. 6.4. Fourth, I establish the relationship between the charges faced by Lieutenant General Khumalo and the mandate of IDAC, and then answer the questions that have been referred to me. And fifth, I conclude. Apologies. We turn to A, the mandate of IDAC. Paragraph 7. IDAC is a creature of statute. It is founded in terms of Section 7(1) capital A of the NPA Act as amended. 8, it is mandated to investigate, carry out any functions incidental to investigations. These are set out in 7(1) capital A close brackets of the NPA Act as amended. They are investigations, small a, relating to serious, high-profile or complex corruption, commercial or financial crime cases. Sub 1.
Subpoenas and documents requested, we will restructure our approach to Advocate Johnson's testimony to accommodate the receipt of those documents.
How do you propose dealing with this? I hope I did not miss anything. I saw 3 statements by Advocate Johnson. There's what I should call the main statement, and then right at the end of my thinner file, I have a supplementary statement, and then I have one that I was given yesterday, which raises Advocate Johnson's protection against self-incrimination.
Yes.
Do I have all 3?
You have all 3.
Or how do you propose doing the part of the evidence where we are not probing except for clarity-seeking questions? You start with the main statement, then the supplementary, and then lastly, the one I and hopefully my colleagues as well got only yesterday.
Yes.
In that order.
That is correct, Chair. The third one came in yesterday.
Yes.
That was the next issue I was going to address, to indicate that there are now 3 statements by Advocate Johnson. The first from October 2025, the second from July 2026, and the last one coming in yesterday. I have had a brief conversation with Advocate Botlane regarding the third statement, and we have agreed that we will use the T adjournment to have discussions, because the main question that arose was whether or not, before that statement is engaged with, it is necessary to have a full-blown legal argument before you, for the commissioners to determine whether the issues and the defenses raised therein are appropriately raised, whether they are valid and whether they are upheld by the commission. So it's a question of process rather than content at this moment. We believe that during the course of the T adjournment, during our engagements, we'll be able to find each other about how we treat that. The idea being it would not be appropriate, much as Advocate Johnson is an advocate, IDAC is fully represented before you. So it's not a debate by right I should have with the witness, it's a debate I should have with her legal representatives. So for purposes of the record, as we start, we are going to place the 3 statements on record, where we will not have reached the third statement before T, and hopefully after T we then will be able to indicate to you how we approach the third statement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Already on, even though you would not ordinarily have a right to respond, but I wanted to ask you a question anyway. Maybe before you say what you want to say, let me just raise the issue I wanted to raise with you. Did Advocate Johnson, of her own accord, decide no longer to be involved in matters involving General Kumalo and the others with whom he is charged? Or did somebody divest her of the power to be so involved? And if someone, or rather, if the position is the latter, who divested her of the power?
The position, Chair, is she made a request to be divested and it was granted. It was granted by the National Director of Public Prosecutions, as I understand it.
Is that something that's done statutorily?
I'm not aware. That kind of detail sort of is anterior the confines of my instructions and my brief.
Yeah. I'll tell you why I'm asking. I'm asking because if, for example, one is not able to point to a specific statutory power, that one informs the request and two informs the granting of the request, I would suggest that there is no way that she can walk away from powers that resort with her, which would include doing whatever is necessary, but which happens to relate to the, let me loosely say, Kumalo cases. Therefore, she cannot, if there is no statutory basis, not respond to the subpoena. What would your response be? But of course, I'm making this suggestion purely on the assumption, or rather, let me not even say it's an assumption. I'm making this suggestion in the event that there is no statutory basis for the request and the granting of the request.
Chair, I would agree with you. And again, the answer is on the basis of if, because as I've said earlier, that matter falls anterior to the confines of my brief. So it's not an issue that I considered, investigated, and adopted a particular view in relation thereto. I didn't at all.
Okay. May I
But
quickly...
it is something that I must now, that it has arisen, quickly consider.
Yes. May I just make what I think is a sensible and practical approach. May I suggest that during the tea break, as you take whatever instructions you will be taking, but that there be an engagement between you and Ms. Sello on how best to resolve this practically. And of course, from where I'm sitting, a practical resolution would be a response to the subpoenas, and if there is no legal impediment on IDAC's side for the material required by the subpoenas to be provided. That's what I consider to be a sensible and practical resolution to all of this. We just cut across any formalities.
Chair, if I may make this indication, I've just received an instruction that the NDPP has issued an instruction that these documents be made available, hopefully during the course of the day today. So I would imagine that as we are here debating, there are people who are tasked with this responsibility, so that at some point during the course of the day today, I will give an indication as to how far that process is.
That practical resolution is most appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Institution. Upon receipt, the institution will determine who is the best placed person within that institution to deal with that subpoena to enable the institution to respond thereto. So, to the extent that it is suggested that it depends on who it was addressed to, we don't address subpoenas and requests to various members of an institution. It is to the institution, and the head or the right person in the institution will make a determination as to whom to direct that to enable the institution to act accordingly. The second issue is I understood my learned friend to reference what he called the Kumalo matter that is currently in court, and the arrest of Kumalo. And I think, if I understood him well, I speak subject to correction, of course, advised that Advocate Johnson has since been relieved of her duties, has been relieved of her responsibility in respect of that matter, something to that effect. To the extent I understood him correctly, I just want to place on record that we know we have before us the investigating director of IDAC. We do not have, or neither have we been served, with any document that informs the Commission that there are certain aspects of IDAC that Advocate Johnson is not responsible for as at the 18th of June. So as far as we are concerned, we are speaking to the right person who is responsible for all matters within IDAC. I do not know who has relieved her of certain duties insofar as that arrest is concerned, but I just want to place on record that we have nothing so advising us. We go by the provisions of the Act to determine who is responsible for IDAC, and that person we submit as the appropriate person to engage on all matters pertaining to IDAC. Lastly, although we will traverse the issues regarding the arrest of General Kumalo and others, the subpoena specifically issued yesterday related to a slightly different topic, though relevant. Commissioners, you will recall that when Colonel Padiache was testifying, we referred to the Section 28 summons that were issued. And in this regard, I would like to, if you could make this note, it's the Section 28 summons dated the 6th of February 2025. It is to be found in file 3 of the IDAC exhibits. And this particular subpoena, when we engaged Colonel Padiache on in its Annexure B, which specifies what documents are required, this subpoena provided that IDAC required original complete applications for security clearances and vetting files for the following senior officers of the South African Police Service. And it listed Lieutenant Generals Kumalo, Lushaba, Madondo, Ncube, Janse van Vuren, who we indicated was a contender for the post that Mrs. Mukwele was subsequently appointed to, Brigadier Mukwele herself, and Brigadier Bobby. A question arose during engagement with